Hello and welcome back to WD18, the Watford fan channel. It can't get any worse, can it? I'm
It can.
delighted. Oh, I didn't want to say that, Sam. Sam, it's great to see you on this Thursday evening. I know you've had a long day, but how are you holding up? And I guess in talking about Watford is exactly what you want to be doing.
Yeah, the antidote of being stuck on a train from Manchester, which is meant to take about 2.5 hours, Manchester to London, and it took about 6 hours in the end due to delays on the train. Hence the later start today. So thanks everyone for your patience. And yeah, the perfect antidote. What I've been looking forward to all day is dissecting another incredibly difficult Watford week. We're gonna go into some further stuff as well, aren't we, Charlie? Talking, I know we've done it a lot anyway, but talking about the bigger picture and potentially some difficult questions as well.
Yeah, we're just thinking what can we do that's slightly a bit different, but we want to cover the main kind of talking points and what needs to be kind of have a light shine on it and highlighted, and we just need to talk through it and let's use this as therapy. If any of you guys have got any questions that you want to put to us, feel free to get in the comments, and if we've got time, we will go through them. But Sam, do you like sandwiches?
I do like sandwiches.
What's your favourite sandwich filling?
Reminds me of the Gavin and Stacey scene. This, do you know when they're in the church? I'm a peanut butter man. I do like
Nice.
peanut butter. Yeah, a bit niche, but I don't like the like the Skippies one, which is like it's not proper. I like proper peanut butter, not that one. Like,
Do you like crunchy or smooth?
I'm a crunchy man, Charlie. You?
Yeah, no, I'm crunchy as well. But what I also like is a positive sandwich, and that's what this video is going to be. We're going to start with a positive, we'll get through the tough stuff in the middle, and then end on a positive. Starting with the Mental Health World Cup. Sam, have you seen the new kits?
I have seen the new kit, and they've started to have been delivered to a few people as well. I've seen. I mean, you can see here if you're watching on video as well in our comment section, you can see some of the kits have already been delivered, but they are absolutely amazing. Kelme smashing it out the park again. A huge thank you for their contribution again to this year's Mental Health World Cup, because yeah, unbelievable and incredibly lucky, I think, to have such a supportive kit provider who just produced us another set of beauties.
Kelme are just unbelievable. The fact that it's great enough that we're having 40 teams playing at Vicarage Road on Saturday the 9th of May, raising money for mental health charities. All the teams get these brilliant kits, like really good quality. And yeah, check those out on our Twitter feed. Like you see here, a couple of the guys have already got theirs delivered. So if anyone else has had their delivered, send us a picture, and we look forward to seeing everyone else on the day. I also wanted to highlight ahead of the Mental Health World Cup the special guest players that we have lined up, Sam. Talk to me about this lineup. I'm impressed.
An unbelievable lineup in itself. Imagine they lined up, just bidded on each other and formed their own team here. That'd be quite special. But we've got Tommy Mooney, obviously a legendary Watford striker. Charlie Zera lookalike as well. Robbo, an absolute legend as well. Not just the Watford legend, but an unbelievable bloke. A huge congratulations to Robbo as well, if he's watching. He did the London Landmarks half marathon a few weeks ago as well, in an unbelievable time. So he's going to be fit and raring to go for the 9th of May. Craig Cathcart, FA Cup finalists, promotion winner twice with Watford. Donated us his FA Cup final shirt a few years ago. What a guy. Tommy Hoban as well, a promotion winner with us, homegrown through the academy, as well as Anthony McNamee, who also came through the academy, and Tommy Smith returning after last season's Mental Health World Cup as well, where he played for From the Rookery End, didn't he? Last year, Tommy Smith. The bidding war going right to the wire.
He did. He carried them, so his back's still recovering from that day. But I don't know if you can see there, Sam. Someone's got a bid on the Craig Cathcart. A huge bid already. So it looks like Craig's services are secured. Every player's had a bid so far. So I've heard Anthony McNamee still got a bid. So if anyone wants to bolster their squad role, raising money for our charities, please do. And yeah, I also wanted to highlight our charity auction where you can see an Elton John special squad signed shirt, the home shirt signed by the squad, hospitality tickets for the first game of next season. And we've also had big shout out to Lewis. He was on MasterChef The Professionals, big Watford fan. He's playing, but he's offered to do a 3-course meal, dinner for 2, which has already had a bid. So really appreciate that. We have got auction prizes coming in the couple of days as well. So keep an eye out for that, including one from one of the first team players who we're really grateful. That should be announced on our channels tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. Sam, I'm afraid that's the first part of the positivity. Now let's cast our mind back, and I just want one sentence, or I don't want too long talking about Sheffield United, but you were there. How did you feel after game, and after kind of sitting on it? How are your feelings about that one?
Numb. It was bleak. It was. I feel like every season I've been saying like it summed up the last few years, but I really feel like that game was the last few years just almost summed up in 90 minutes. The first half, there were some okay moments, but we never really looked threatening at all. Sheffield United, I thought, had way too much space. And then the second half, we conceded 2 of the softest goals I think we've conceded all season. Patrick Bamford, who ironically I think would be perfect for us, player who I think rumoured we were linked with as well. Javi Gracia wanted him in January. And he'd be perfect for us, and he helped Sheffield United to a relatively straightforward win. Another team who I think will come away from Vicarage Road and say that was the easiest win that they'll have all season. And I think it was pretty much summed up by the last 5 minutes. The fans in the Rookery, particularly in the 1881, just counting down the minutes till the game finished, singing 5 minutes left, 4 minutes left. And to be honest, I'm going with 180 minutes to go of this season now, and I'll be counting down from minute 180 down to 1. Let's just get it done now. Bleak, isn't it? Imagine. I know we're going to go into big.
We've still got one game to talk. Yeah, we've still got one game to talk about, West Brom, and it didn't get much better. I think, to be fair, our group chat was alive on a Tuesday night. Me and Jacob were just, I don't know. I feel like getting everything off our chest, and just as the game unfolded, I thought it was another pathetic performance, to be honest. Yeah. When you saw the lineup, Loser dropped. Loser, the captain, he wasn't injured, which was interesting. I'll get your thoughts on that in a bit. But as the game played out, you kind of had Patrice right back, Kevin Caben left back. I think that's been a big blow for us, especially in recent months, not having Bola and Ngakia.
Yeah.
I think those fullback positions, and we all thought we had good squad depth, but 2 injuries and the level of our team has just dropped dramatically. And we just conceded soft goals and just offered absolutely nothing up top. And it's hard to kind of dissect too much because we didn't show anything. And I don't think it's a case of the players weren't given anything. I just think the whole mood and malaise around the club is just on the players' shoulders, and they just don't have it in them to put in a performance, and with nothing to play. And I think if we thought Saturday was bleak, maybe because it was at Vicarage Road, so it was hard for our home fans to see. But I thought the West Brom game was as bad. What do you think about the game? What do you think about Loser not starting the first half?
Yeah, I'll come on to Loser in a second. I think the thing I feel with the away fans, I wasn't there at West Brom, just too difficult with midweek away games at the moment. But from looking from afar and speaking to people who are at the game, the sad thing for me is that there was the anger that we've seen at previous away games, such as Oxford, and even the last couple of home games. The anger wasn't there against West Brom. It was a real sense of just acceptance. Even the fans are now just like the match-going fans, and Watford have had a really, really good following so far this season, throughout this entire season. And it's just this acceptance now that performance was coming and that result was coming. I don't think anyone was surprised by that. I think if you asked pretty much everyone from that away and before the game what the score would be, most people would come out with very similar outcomes to that. And that's that sad thing for me, because I think if you're a player here, I'm not going to single anyone out because I think you're right, Charlie. I think it's so difficult. I think the mindset is so on the floor at the moment, confidence-wise as well, that it's so difficult for them to lift themselves out, particularly with nothing to play for. But you walking out the tunnel at the Hawthorns, firstly, I think two things should be going through your mind, seeing how an away trip, which is only hour and a half, 2 hours up the road. I'm not digging out Watford fans for their non-attendance here at all, and the people who went, completely fair play. But you should be looking at that as players and think the amount of fans who haven't travelled today, for only 500, 600 went. And you should be thinking, well, why aren't these fans travelling? Why aren't they only making an hour and a half, 2 hour trip up the road? West Brom, we normally sell out. And I think that, for me, would be reflective of the performances that we've seen on the road this season. And then on top of that, you'd be going, well, there are 400, 500 fans here. Let's put on a show for them. Let's give them something at least, and give that away following something. And whether that's because the players aren't trying, I don't think it's that. I don't think it's an effort issue for some of them. For a lot of them, sorry, I do think for some of them they could be doing more. I just think the confidence is so difficult for them to get anything. So, yeah, another really, really bleak one. And yeah, it's just, yeah, depressing talking about it even.
I do want to talk about Ed still, and I've been reluctant to kind of go into too much detail about Ed and the job he's doing, because I just think there's so many factors that are.
I actually feel, Charlie, I actually feel like in the videos we've done since Ed Still's taken over, and I mean, it can't be too many videos, 3 or 4 that we've done since he's taken over. I don't think we've really spoken about him at all, really. Sorry to jump in there.
No, and I think the reason is because how many managers have we seen have exactly the same problem as he's having? And you can just tell that the head role, this position, is just, it feels like the impossible job at the moment. But a couple of things I wanted to highlight, which I noticed from the game, I think one kind of man management, really interesting with the Imran Noosa, our captain, being dropped from a not technical one, and then bringing him on at half time, which kind of makes me feel, are you half-hearting your decision to drop him for whatever reason that was? And then there was one time in the game, Sam, we brought Quadro Bar on, and he was playing up front with Kurumgor, and Kayembe was playing right midfield in a 4-4-2. And one thing with Ed, which we've seen far too often for me, is just a lot of reactive changes, switches after goals. We saw it at QPR. So I think, look, he's obviously trying different things. Like he's fighting for his job. Do you know what I mean? And he's trying his best, and he's trying different things and trying to get a spark out of anything. So I don't, like I said, I'm not blaming him for too much. But one thing I wanted to ask you, another thing that a lot of people spoke about, was at full time when the players came over to clap, and apparently I didn't see this, but I saw a lot of people talking about, apparently Ed walked down the tunnel straight away. I'll get your opinion on it. Personally, I think the whole clapping away fans after you've been beaten it's a bit of a nonsense, really. I understand that you want to appreciate the fans and show a bit of recognition, but especially after you've turned in a horrible performance, like, do the players actually want to go over and sincerely clap the fans knowing they're going to get abused? I just think go down the tunnel, lads. But a lot of people were criticising Ed still because obviously he's the head coach and he kind of sent the players to clap the fans, but he went down the tunnel. What did you make of it?
Difficult one. I have a different opinion too on that, Charlie. I think that regardless of the result, I think players should always show their appreciation of the fans. And if there's going to be abuse or criticism towards them, I think they have to take it a lot of the time, as long as it's never personal, obviously. But particularly with the way that results and performances have been beat recently, I think players have to take that. And I don't think Ed Still is exempt from that. I'm reluctant to overly criticise him. Do I think he's the right man? No. Do I think he was the wrong appointment? Yes. But he isn't exempt from that. The benefit of the doubt that I would give him potentially is that we've seen a lot of the players now are making the same errors over different managers over and over again. So why should he take the criticism when it's way, way beyond him and he knows that criticism is coming? So, yeah, I think it would have been good if he did go over to clap them, but I can understand equally why he didn't.
I've got some positives, I think, Sam, from that game. So have a think if you can think of any. But Off-man Marmer's come back in the last 2 games. I thought he had a bright start to the Sheffield United game. Potentially could have got a penalty. I thought he was playing for it a bit. But against West Brom again, for me, what's impressed me the most about him this season is his mentality. And Sam, feel free to disagree with me because you've been to a lot more games than I have this season, so you might have seen different bits and bobs from him. But whenever I see him, I feel like he's giving 100%. He doesn't stop. He's brave. And this is a 20-year-old lad who's playing his first season in English football. And he hasn't got too many, it doesn't look like he's got too many kind of leaders around him to help him and guide him. And I just think his mentality has been more impressive than the majority of the squad, to be honest. For a 20-year-old lad to not stop, keep trying, keep putting it in. He was someone that, especially in the West Brom game, I thought, do you know what, fair play, you can hold your head up high. And do you agree with that? Have you seen? Yeah. Do you agree with that, or have you seen any petulance or anything they haven't liked from Marmer?
I haven't seen petulance. I agree with you. I think it's spot on about Marmer. I think even though things are frustrating at the moment, and he does get things wrong. He's a young and he's a raw player, but I still admire the bravery with him. There was a couple of times against West Brom where he took on his man and either put in a wild cross or a really, really poor effort. But I admire that he's trying to be brave, and it's not the sideways and backward stuff that we've been seeing from other players who are way too safe with it. So I really admire him for that. And I think that final ball, it will come. I just think equally with the players around him and the confidence that we've spoken about already with the team. Yeah, it is difficult to judge him on that. And the other positive I'd say as well, less so against West Brom maybe, but I think Nestor and Kunda as well, since he's been back in the team on a consistent basis. I think he's also been one of the few shining lights. Again, I don't think he's hit the heights that we've seen earlier in the season at points, but yeah, another one who's brave, who I think if he has a good World Cup in the summer, that I think he could also potentially move on. So yeah, I've been impressed with those two, but everyone else I think probably needs to take a look in the mirror.
Yeah, we will do our classic keep, loan and sell at some point in the summer where me and Sam have had a break and cleansed our thoughts and probably get more news about head coach situation and etc. Another positive from Tuesday was all the clubs said no to VAR in the Championship. Taking that way along. We talked about Marmer. We're also going to do at the end of the video our goal of the season, young player of the season, player of the season. So hang around for that. And just quickly before we do get on to our tough questions, and Sam, I hope you've come with some tough questions because I've loaded you with some difficult ones. So I hope you're not gonna hate me after this. But when we talk about Ed Still, I think because I was watching loads of Liam Rosenior stuff over the last couple of days and the Chelsea situation and talking about head coach, and it just came to my mind about what kind of look. I think, like we said, it will be so hard for a manager to turn this stuff around about stuff that we're going to talk about in a bit. But one thing that I thought about a profile that a manager that could do well at Watford because of the squad and the age is a kind of maybe elite player or an elite former player that the young lads could kind of look up to and like immediately get respect from. We've obviously seen Frank Lampard do really, really well with Coventry this season. We've seen cases when it hasn't worked with like Wayne Rooney at Birmingham and Plymouth, but I think that's more of a coaching situation maybe than an actual respect thing. But I don't know. What do you think about that? Or do you think you don't want to be thinking about head coaches at the moment because rinse and repeat?
I honestly don't think it matters who's in charge. Nothing's going to change until the ownership changes. Unfortunately, I do quite like that shout of a proper elite player. We saw it with Gianfranco Zola when he came to Watford. How good that was, how fun that was, how respected he was as well. But football's changed. Things are incredibly difficult. The way that the football club is being run is different now as well. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't really think it matters. Pep might leave City at the end of the season. If he came to us, we wouldn't see any difference. I genuinely believe that.
That's the new one on the UCO bingo card.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Hepburn succeed at Watford.
no one can. Name me a manager, Charlie. Give me a name, genuinely, who you think you could see turning this around, or like at least stopping this like cycle that we're in.
It's too early for that. Like I even said, we spoke about it a bit this morning. I said like I'd even take someone like Steven Gerrard now because of his. Do you know what I mean? Because of his aura or people I respect, but his stock's low. Not that he would ever come to Watford. And then we laughed about someone like Gattuso. That would be absolute chaos, wouldn't it?
This did cross my mind earlier, by the way. I don't know. No. You laugh at Liam Rossignol. I'm not saying I'd take him. For some reason, I could just see it.
No, there's no chance he goes going from Chelsea madhouse to Watford madhouse in 2 jobs. It's absolutely.
Listen, it means he's experienced already. The similarities, by the way, between us and Chelsea. Wow, very similar.
Very similar. Sam, are you ready for these tough questions?
Let's do it, Charlie. Do you want to ask me first, or which way around should we do this?
Let's start. And we've got 10 here. We're going to try and get through some. If anyone wants to send any through, if we've got time, we'll go through them. My ones are pretty brutal, so like we'll talk about them as much or as little as you want, Sam. But first one, which could probably be a whole podcast in itself. What does a successful summer reset look like at Watford?
I worry with a lot of these big picture questions, my answers might get repetitive, that nothing will change until the ownership sell the club, which I really, really hope they do as soon as an offer comes in that obviously is respectable for it. So yeah, incredibly difficult question for that. But if I'm looking at the here and now, we've got players who are out of contract in the summer. Edo Kayembe, I can't remember off the top of my head actually who else there is. We've got loans going back. We've got players who are likely going to leave. I think Ed still inferred this, that that's feeding into the uncertainty in the squad at the moment, and the performances as well, the amount of players that could be off. We went through in our group chat, Charlie, how many players we think are 100% going to be here next season. I think we landed on about 6, with 2 of them being Nathan Baxter and Egil Selvik. So yeah, leave in the comments as well who you think are 100% guaranteed to be here next season, and it's difficult. So I think what a successful reset would look like for me, at least in the short term, would be having as much clarity as early in the summer as possible in terms of who's going and who's coming, who's going, and who the head coach is going to be.
Do you think like a massive overhaul's needed to try and get rid of the mentality of these players, or do you think it's just the head coach and we'll be, obviously we know where Watford are in terms of the financial situation and what we can spend.
I know what you mean. I mean, I feel bad I've just singled out Edo Kayembe there, and I don't really want to signal out any players. Obviously, there are players who have been there now under so many managers, but I think it's just so seeped into the DNA now, into the club, while Pozzo's in charge and while the managers keep on changing, that it doesn't really matter who the players in the dressing room are going to be. So, yeah, a big overhaul maybe. Really, really talented players in this squad, particularly in the forward lines. There isn't a world where this happens, but if we manage to keep hold of, let's say, 3 of Chatfatatse with a full pre-season, Irankunda, Marma, Vata, Dumbia, I don't know, that I think that if we keep 3 of them at least, then that's a pretty solid championship forward line. And then the rest of the team definitely needs addressing, I think, in certain areas. But yeah, I don't think it's a huge overhaul. I just think it's gives clarity of, if players are going to go, who are they going to be, and can we get them out as early in the window as possible? Not only to get that clarity for the squad and for the new manager, if there is going to be one. Talking about Ed Still's already gone, but and that should hopefully also free up some budget as well for us to reinvest in the squad. Yeah. Hope that's an adequate answer for the first one.
I haven't really got too much to add, and these questions, like I said, are tough, and we're probably not in the best mindset after Watford's recent form and with the energy. But yeah. It's just interesting. Do you want to hit me with something?
Yeah, my first one for you is maybe less in the current, but I mentioned in terms of how bleak that Sheffield United game was the other day, and it's got me thinking in this cycle now since we got relegated from the Premier League, and maybe I'll include that season as well. So in the last sort of 5 years, what has been the single lowest moment for you as a Watford fan? And that can be a game, a moment, a sacking, wherever you want.
Oh, so many to pick from. That Premier League relegation, like the back end of it, I'm sure we lost like not 8 in a row, but like we lost loads. And there was games like we got battered by Leeds at home, and we had teams like Burnley and Brentford, and I'm sure we were like went 1-0 up against them and then just crumbled at Vicarage Road. I remember that being really painful. And then obviously Roy Hodgson, I was getting relegated at Palace, and Roy Hodgson kind of laughing about it.
This is so bleak, this video.
Yeah, I think that I think we spoke about last week that Cardiff game a couple of years back with Chris Wilder in charge was really bad. I remember being at that one, being at Luton and seeing us lose like 3-0, just in pathetic performance. But I tell you what, my worst moment is, Sam, was at the end of last season when they sacked Cleves. I just thought like we kind of knew what Gino was about, but the fact that we had a whole season with one manager and the fact that there was a clear connection, and on that last game last season, the whole of the Rookery are singing his name and Gino's there watching, and he can see that connection between the fans. And I think I've said it 100 times, but that squad we had last year was a lot worse than the squad we had this year. And he didn't do a mate like I thought he did a pretty good job in his first kind of full season as a head coach. And the fact that Gino just watched that and still made the decision, I thought do you know what I mean? We're in trouble. Like what up? Do you know what I mean? And it wasn't like a huge shock because we know how Pozzo operates, but I was just gutted because I was like, that's the first time we've connected with a manager in years, probably since Javi. So to have that kind of ripped away from us, that was grim. Did you have one in mind? You don't have to answer. It's your question.
Yeah, difficult. For some reason, a game that really, really sticks out to me it was Easter Monday, I think, or Good Friday. Our first season back down, and we played Huddersfield at home, and we lost 3-2. Batman got sent off. Hamza Chowdhury went in goal. I think we had Britta Sombalonga up front. That was a real low moment. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. That Clev sacking and just the whole summer of Petzolano this summer that just went by, it was all just really low. I mean, it's easy to talk recency bias, but in terms of the general mood that I'm seeing though, and the attendances at Vicarage Road, like this is up there, I think, at the moment. Like there's just zero hope, isn't there? There's no spark on the pitch. There's nothing in the atmosphere, nothing in the crowd. Like I've never seen it this. Like,
it's worrying. And
like
it's likely we lose our next 2 games and we could be 17th or something like that. Yeah. And again, that would be the sign that we've gone backwards since the Pozzos took charge. And you mentioned Hamza Chowdhury there, got relegated with Leicester.
Yeah.
And I think if that isn't the biggest indicator about what Watford could be, watching Leicester with the squad they've got, Fatawo, Mavididi, all these players who got them promoted a couple of years ago, they've got a lot more quality in our squad. But again, it comes down to culture, and we've got no defined right to think that we will stay up next season if the culture continues to be bad. So yeah, I was just shocked to see Leicester go down with 2. Not shocked because it's been coming for weeks, but they literally won the Premier League 10 years ago, won the FA Cup 5 years ago. So it just shows that you can't just get up through talent. Sam, next question. Would you take relegation if it meant Pozzo leaving?
Wow. This is a question that I've discussed with other people generally at the moment, not in terms of Pozzo going, but would I take a relegation now? Not necessarily. I mean, it would be so bleak, wouldn't it, watching us get relegated? You look at clubs now, like even Leicester, how toxic it was there the other night when they went down. But just for freshening it up a bit and going down a league again and some new away games, because the last 5 years have all just felt like the same a bit. I mean, I really want them to sell the club, but I'm going to say no, because I support Watford and I want us to win games, and that's why I go home and away as often as I can every week. And I've never seen Watford drop below the second division in my lifetime, and I never want to. So as bleak as things are, and also you have to be realistic as well with the way that football finances are, that if we did drop down to League One, there is no guarantee that we'd come back up with the way that the football club would have to adjust and the amount of losses that we'd have to take on. And there's no guarantee with it because we still got some really big wages in there. So yeah, in short, I'd go with no, but some new away games would be nice. I'd say that, which is why I'm looking forward a bit to next season for the likes of Lincoln and maybe Bolton if they go up, as I've never done those before. What about you, Charlie? What would you do it?
I think I'm right in saying we haven't been in the third tier since '78. So what's that? Nearly 50 years or something. It's hard because you don't know what's coming after Pozzo.
Yeah.
I think that's where it's tricky. So you're kind of the one thing that I think is fair to say is that we're stable when it comes to financially, and with the player trading model, that we're pretty confident that we're going to get the money that we're going to need to stay afloat next year. And football at the moment, especially championship teams, what they've got to pay out and kind of the amount of money that everyone's losing, it's tough out there. So the fact that we've actually got assets, although it's what's the word? Not conducive to a successful football club, just selling players all the time. But I don't think we're going to be getting into administration anytime soon unless Pozzo just kind of pulls the plug. So would I take getting relegated? No. I want to be. I love the championship as a league. I love that there's no VAR in there. I love that we can play QPR, beat them at home once a season. Like you said, you do get the odd new away games, and next season there's going to be 8 teams in the playoffs. So
yeah,
madder things have happened. But,
I'd also just dread, on a side point, I'd dread, like Leicester next season are going to go on from the space of 2 years, but as Luton did as well, would have gone from playing Man United in the Premier League to Man United under 21s in the Virtue Trophy. Like the concept of the Virtue Trophy as well, just I dread that as well. I'm not salty at all that Luton just won it, but yeah, that wouldn't excite me, to be honest. So yeah, I'd probably say no in terms of the relegation. My second question for you, Charlie. And we spoke about fans who travelled to West Brom recently. I'm going to angle it a bit differently to what I had written down here. But I was thinking about the way that fans recently been singing "You're not fit to wear the shirt" after games. My question was, do you think fans have a right to sing that towards a team? My other question on the flip side of that is, we've also seen fans clapping after games at the moment, despite the really poor performances. Do you think those fans who clap deserve criticism?
So I just wanted to pick up, I think I was miles off it there, talking about being in the third tier. I'm getting my Division 2s, Division 1s, Premier League classes mixed up. So we're in the third tier in '98, so apologies, that's poor for me. I was only a young lad at that time. So sorry, remind me of your question. Do you think it's fans clapping players even after defeat and you're not fit to wear the shirt?
Yeah. So what do you make of those two? I mean, I don't want to answer it here for you, but I'm very much the opinion that fans pay their own money to go to games, and everyone's on their own right to support, and no one's got a right to criticise how another fan supports their team, whether that's them clapping them off after a 5-0 defeat or singing "You're not fit to wear the shirt." I think fans are entitled to do what they want. What do you think, Charlie?
Yeah, I think we spoke about this last video, and everyone's different in every walk of life. Doesn't mean football fans, and we just need to be tolerant of each other. And do you know what I mean? There's context to everyone, and everyone, if they're paying their money, everyone's a supporter and they can support how they want. So I totally agree with you. Like I think you've made a really good point in terms of players coming over and clapping, and if fans are singing "You're not fit to wear the shirt," I think that's absolutely fair, especially some of the performances that haven't been fit to wear the shirt. They've been playing like League One, League Two standard. So yeah, as long as like it doesn't cross the line when it comes to abuse or any physical stuff with throwing stuff, I think fans have every right to do what they have. And as footballers, you should have pride and understand football fans. You know what I mean? All of these footballers started as young little kids and probably supported teams themselves and went through frustrations. So they shouldn't be, they're not Premier League players on £200,000 a week. They shouldn't be that far removed or think they're that attached that they can't relate to us football fans. And football's, as Graham Taylor, it's a working class. It's a game for the working class. Everyone works hard during the week, pays their money and goes to watch the football as a bit of escapism. So football fans, if they're getting criticism, they should take it on the chin and they should use it as fuel, and they should kind of show the fans. So yeah, totally agree with you on that in terms of fans having every right to support the team how they fit. And I think my last point is like, don't criticize fans for how they act.
Spot on. Yeah.
But there's no need, like, if fans are clapping a team, they've got every right to do that. Why should you criticize them and stuff like, oh, you're part of the problem? How is a fan clapping part of the problem that we're talking about at the moment?
People say Gino's too comfortable. I think Gino's made it incredibly clear that whether fans are booing, clapping, singing his name to get out, he does not care at all what our supporters think. So yeah, I think you're spot on there, Charlie.
Sam, next question. What's the worst decision that Pozzo has made during his time at Watford?
Oh, where to start? The obvious one, I won't go into too much, Charlie, because you spoke about it just now, but the Tom Cleverley sacking at the end of last season, that while we didn't end last season well at all, from January onwards, it was really poor. And I do think there has been a sense of, I don't want to say rewriting history, but people, I think, because of how bad things have been this season, and Clev's doing relatively well at Plymouth, but I think people do sometimes forget that it was far from perfect under Cleverley. But I think the fact that we had the connection there, which we haven't had for so long, with it being so far removed from everyone else, I think is why we should have kept him. I always go back, though, in terms of the worst decision the Pozzos have made. And he gave us an unbelievable moment against Liverpool at home. But for me, the signing of Ismaila Sarr signalled where things started to really, really go wrong. And I love Sarr. And he went on, obviously, to be the best player in the division by a mile when we got promoted a couple of years later. I'm not sure. Did he get Championship Player of the Year that year when we got promoted? But if you remember, he completely carried us in that second half of the season. Like, he was on another level, and he's been unbelievable in for Crystal Palace as well, and it could win a European trophy this season. So it's nothing against Sarr, but
it was signed Danny Welbeck in that window as well. I'm sure
signed Danny Welbeck in that window. But if I'm looking further back on the pitch, we really neglected that centre back position, didn't we? And that was the area of the pitch that was so clear that we needed to upgrade. Following that FA Cup final season, I loved the players who played there that year at the back, but I think it was an area that they were coming on a bit, and we needed some younger legs in there rather than adding to it with the likes of Craig Dawson. And we signed a winger when there was a manager who didn't play with wingers was there, so it was just a bizarre signing in hindsight, and that signalled for me the beginning of the downfall, where we neglected key areas of the pitch in favour of signing big players, trying to flip them. Not flip them for more money because we signed stuff for big money, but yeah, a reason why we went down that season and why we're seeing the state that we're in now is because of that signing, I think.
I've got a couple of contenders.
Go on.
Sacking Javi after 4 games.
Yeah. Good shot.
I think he was respected by that group, and that group had real quality. We don't know the inside. Maybe he wasn't respected.
Yeah.
I think maybe there was some characters in there, and obviously you had Troy in there. But you could just see how well we'd done with the FA Cup, and we were very close to getting Europe to throw that all in after 4 games. I thought was crazy, and a bit interesting one. I can't remember what summer it was, but Rob Edwards was a Duxbury appointment. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah,
we gave him 10 games. He went on to take Luton to the Premier League. I've always liked Rob. It'd be interesting to know what we do if we stuck with him. And you got to remember, when he got the job, it was actually between him and John Eustace. Him and John Eustace, who was going for the job. So, did we make the wrong decision not employing Eustace? This is all hypothetical, and if we're being honest, they probably all would have got sacked after a bad run of form because of Pozzo. But some interesting sliding door moments there. I don't know. I feel like there's just been more and more recently. There's been really good case studies about sticking with managers through tough times, and seeing the rewards. I don't know if you've seen the scenes recently with like Fabian Hertzler at Brighton.
Yeah, he was Premier League.
Yeah. He was getting a lot of fans, a lot of stick from the fans at some games, which remarkable really. But they absolutely butchered Chelsea the other night. So just goes to show. Next question, Sammy.
Yeah, I think you're spot on though in terms of giving managers time. I think was it even Iriola at Bournemouth? I don't think he won any of his first 7 or 8 games when he was in charge 2 or 3 years ago. And look where he is now, about to go on to. He's not going to get the Atletico Bilbao job, so you imagine that if he'll be lined up for the likes of Man United, if Carrick doesn't go there, if Arne Slot goes from Liverpool, he'll be banded about. So yeah, and obviously you look at Tom Cleverley as well. Plymouth could have easily sacked him. But I think they're just going to miss out on playoffs because they dropped points the other night. I think they've probably got too much to do now and they're hoping for too much, but platform to build on for next season for them. We've mentioned there's some exciting plays from the past, Charlie, some good times as well when looking at sliding doors moments. Looking back on, for me, my favourite ever Watford team, which was our promotion team in 14-15 under Slavisa Kanovic. Such a fun team that year. This is less of a difficult question, I think, but I wanted to bring some positivity. We'll try to. How many current players in this squad would start? I'll ask who would start in that promotion team and who would get into the squad.
This is so hard because I'm going to take your question as value because you've just said. I honestly think this has been one of the most talented squad that we've had in years, but they're underperforming massively because of the build-up of bad culture. I honestly think some of the players that we've got in the squad are as talented as that squad. The big difference is the mentality. Is Imran Louza, has he got as much quality as a Daniel Tozer? I'd probably say yes. Who did we have on the wings back in those days?
Akechi, Anya.
Akechi, Anya, or Iran Kunda. I'd probably have Iran Kunda if we're talking about actual quality and ceiling. I think the strikers are untouchable. What Dini and Igalo with Vidra is an absolute joke.
None of them are getting near that.
Yeah, poor Luca's not going to get a sniff.
Even Forest the area, I think poor Luca would be 5th choice.
Little side thing, Sam. I was doing some work on Sunday. I don't want to name drop. with Kasper Schmeichel, who obviously
go on, son. Yeah,
Troy Deeney scored that goal against. And I was going to quiz him to name the 10 top goal scorers during Leicester's title winning season. You know, Deeney and Igalo were in the Premier League in that top 10 list. Unbelievable.
Wow. I mean, I knew Igalo was up there, but Deeney as well. Good times, weren't they?
Oh, God, such good times. Take it for granted. You really do.
Yeah. So I think that's one thing, Charlie, that like in my Watford supporting life now that I've seen the highest peaks I think we'll see with Watford on the cusp of winning a trophy. Whether we'll ever break into Europe, who knows? But I think I'm going to appreciate the good times a bit more when they come back around, and they will, because football is like that. The good times will come back at some point.
Hope they do.
Let's hope.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Sam, I think like Loser has the quality. I think. I can't even remember what kind of system we played back then. I feel like
it was 3 at the back. It was 4 at the back.
Yeah, I feel like we did often have 2 up front with Troy and Igalo. But when I'm looking at players like Marma and I think those guys have the quality, but they didn't have the mentality or the street smarts or the experience. Who did we have at right back in that day? Cassetti? No, he was a bit earlier.
Paredes was there. Matt Connolly was there.
Paredes or Ngakia?
I mean, I had Matt Connolly over both, but that's difficult. I like Paredes. They're actually pretty level, I would say.
Yeah, but I just think
pretty level,
in that team, we just had men. We had Troy.
Yeah.
We had Guardiola. We had Watson. We had Connolly. Gomez at the back, so that is a big difference. And now who have the lads got to? Do you know what I mean? Who are the leaders in that dressing room? It's a 24-year-old Matty Pollock, which is a shame. But I'm going to bring
not a dig at Matty, that by the way, at all.
No, not at all. Like I think what Matty's done to be the biggest leader made me laugh against Sheffield United.
Yeah.
When like the ref was talking and. When the ref was talking and speaking to the captain as in Loser, Matty was always there. It was like the ref was speaking to him. It's like, but that's probably a conversation for a different day. I have my last question is easier than this, Sam. So apologies, but
last one or 2 more have you got?
2 more, but I'm saying this one's a bit brutal, but the second one's not too bad. What would it take for you to protest against this ownership?
Oh my word, that's a very difficult one. For me, it would take a lot not because I don't agree with the idea of protesting, but with the way that I like to support a team, I like to go there and with the intention of supporting the team on the pitch. And also my match going experience, I don't think I'd want to protest just with the way that I like to go to games and how I like to spend my match days. Peacefully, people of course have a right to do that, and I fully support that. But yeah, I think unless things I'm talking about sliding doors bad in terms of us getting relegated to League One like we spoke about before, I don't think I would protest. But that's not because I wouldn't, that's just because it's not what I'd want from my match day experience. What about you?
Yeah, I'll answer the question as well.
Leading the march, Charlie Zazera.
For me, it would take just a serious initiative and plan for it to happen peacefully, aligned with people that are respected and we trust and have the good intentions. And we if we were to do it, we'd have to come together. It'd have to be thought out, and it just need that. And it's so tough to organise something like that. Is a thankless task. Like a lot of organisation, but for what we talked about, Pot. So it probably won't even. Do you know what I mean? It probably won't even scratch the surface. But
I honestly don't think he'd care at all.
But it's not a case of, for me, it's not a case of oh, if we look like we're getting relegated, panic and scramble and try and do something. It would be if someone came around tomorrow and said, this is what we're planning to do. Do you support it? And it aligns with what we agree with, then it's probably something I'd definitely agree with, because we get a lot of messages saying, "Oh, why don't you guys organise it?" It's just like it's such a tough.
It's so difficult. I also don't think we're anywhere near the near a point of protesting yet, as much as what you see on social media, which is, I think.
Do you not think, Sam? Do you not think like the way the way our club's being run is that bad? And I do think the Watford fans are just. I think we're a pretty kind of forgiving bunch of relaxing. Obviously, we have got the Premier League years, but I think if you spoke to other fans outside of Watford and asked about how they thought our club was run and what they think, they would have a pretty negative opinion on it. And I think other fan bases, or maybe bigger clubs, we've seen Chelsea, we've seen Spurs, obviously mobilise, but I do think with what we've seen and what we've been served in the last 3 or 4 years is pretty bad.
Yeah, I more mean not in terms of like what it needs for that to happen for it to be a protest. I think just if you look at the match going fans, it still is, other than when it's been really bad, like against Oxford, I'd say there's not been enough consistency in terms of in the stands with what you see in terms of anti-Pozzo chants and the mood. Like you still see, and like I said before, people are fully entitled to see what you want, but there are still people in their hundreds who will clap the team regardless of the result, as they're fully in their right to do. So I think the mood in the ground is always very different to what you see on social media, maybe. But that might just be me. But yeah, I still think it might be a little while till we see any sort of organised protest outside. My fourth question for you, Charlie. Again, a bit repetitive from what we spoke about before, but we spoke about that Tom Cleverley sacking at the back end of last season. If Tom Cleverley had remained in charge this season, would the season have gone better, worse, or the same as now?
I think I've said this a couple of times, but I think we'd be in a better position. I think we would have had 2 full seasons under one manager. I think the majority of the squad respected Clevs and were upset when he left. The way he got the best out of our most talented player with Imran Louza, I think that was one of his biggest wins at Watford. He took him out from the cold and he managed to motivate him. I mean, we've seen what Louza's done at the back end of this season. So the fact that Clevs managed to get out of him what he did was, for me, one of his most impressive traits. I think look at someone like Quadro Bar. Clevs got the best out of him, and we saw the best of him last season. And I think with an improved squad, surely we would have had more consistency with, do you know what I mean, more aligned to a playing style. And yeah, I think we would have done better. I'm not saying we would have got playoffs, and there would have been highs and lows, but there's a very real chance that we end up, like we said, 17th, 18th. But I honestly believe under Clevs we would have been in a better position. I don't think we would have got promoted necessarily, but I think we'd be a lot closer to the playoffs than we are now.
Very, very fair. I think I agree with you. I don't think it would have been. I don't think it would have been miles better, but I do think it would have been a little bit better than what we've seen now in certain games. Do you want to give me your last question, Charlie?
My last one, and because mine have been all a bit strong, this one's a bit easier or a bit more positive. But would you rather Watford won a cup or got into Europe?
Won a cup, without doubt. I assume here we're excluding the fact that if you win most cups now, you also get a European place. So if it was a cup in isolation though versus Europe, definitely winning a trophy. I think that's the absolute pinnacle of football. Even just winning games at Wembley or at the highest level, I think that feeling of just, I see the emotion. I've been very, very privileged to have gone to so many playoff finals and cup finals over the last couple of years. And you just see the emotion and the excitement of fans on the day. Even teams recently like Lincoln and Bromley and Coventry this week, just that feeling of your club being on top, I think is unmatched. As good as those away days in Europe, though, I would have to go for that one-off day winning a trophy. What would you go with?
I think I disagree with you. I
Really?
honestly think watch Watford abroad, like having how many games do you have? 5, depending
Yeah.
on what tournament in and how far you go. Like going with mates over there, being in different cities, having a drink before the game, waking up, having breakfast, the hype of the game, drinking in the game, going to a new ground. Imagine winning away in kind of the night, staying in a dodgy hotel. I honestly think that's my one dream supporting Watford. That I would like. I'm obviously quite a big England fan and been to quite a few major tournaments, and watching England play away is so good that I think a lot of club football fans kind of don't really understand because they haven't experienced. So to get a taste of that watching your club play abroad for me would be something that's a real dream of mine.
Very, very fair. I would just say as well with the trophy is that it is the one thing that Luton unfortunately do have over us, is that they do have a major trophy there. So I wouldn't mind leveling it up with them, but each to their own, of course. My last question for you, Charlie, bringing it back to this current squad now. We've spoken about this now for, I want to say, a good 5 years on the channel on a semi-regular basis as Imran Loser and where Watford fans stand with him. We're going to have our chat about player of the season in a second, but he is incredible, splits opinion more than any player I can think of in recent years with Watford. Why do you think that's the case, that a player so talented splits opinion so much, and that you're going to see a real mixture of fans when he does inevitably go in the summer? I think some will be gutted that he's gone, while I think some will be delighted that he's gone as well. Why do you think that is?
I have to admit, I've been really disappointed with him in the back end of this season. I think he's got 16 goal involvements this year, 9 assists, 10 goals.
Yeah.
I don't know if we think that's good for a player of his quality in the Championship. I think he's got Premier League talent. But for me, which I find hard to take, I think he's shown over the years sometimes, and it's hard because we don't know how he's been treated, what's been said, and how many managers has he had, probably into double figures. So it's not easy working. But I remember when Val came in. Do you remember when he posted something on Instagram? Like,
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was. Not laughing if we lost, but something along those
Yeah,
lines.
he was like in the gym or something. Like, I can't remember what it was, but like he was rubbing at him.
And I just think the way he's on the pitch, he can be very petulant. I think we've seen silly red cards, especially that QPR one. I think there's been a lot of examples this season where I just think the effort level isn't there, which is so frustrating. And we've given him the captaincy this season to try and give him that responsibility and get the best out of him.
Yeah.
But I personally think he's let us down a bit with that second half of the season. And I think there's been big moments where he's missed big chances. He missed the penalty against Sheffield Wednesday. I remember that whole game he missed a big chance. But for me, it's more the application and whether it's not showing for the ball enough, or I think even the Patrick Bamford goal against Saturday, he lost a duel when they went on to score. And look, I understand that it would be incredibly hard to be a player in this environment. And like I said, that's why I thought Klebs did a great job to get the best out of him. However, as one of our leaders, I don't think he's applied himself the best he can. He's been at Watford for quite a long time now.
Yeah, just for context, Charlie, by the way, I've worked it out. He was signed under Cisco Munoz. That's how long he's been there. Imran Loser would have played in the same team, was on the pitch at the same time as Troy Deeney's last Watford game. That's how long he's been there for.
You say Cisco Munoz when we're in the Premier League?
In the Premier League, yeah. He was signed at the start of that season.
So he was the Will Hughes replacement, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That first game against Brighton away, I was there. He had a nightmare. He has had bad injuries during his time as Watford as well.
Yeah, I'll never forget that Millwall away was,
which we should take into account. But I think now is the time where his stock's relatively high that we say thanks Imran, and and let him go on. I think the biggest disappointment is just how much talent he's got, Sam. I think he's got Premier League talent, and if he applied himself, he could have got a Premier League move. But instead, and he could have probably doubled his wages, but instead he's probably going to be playing in Liga, which is a real shame. But
could have been going to a World Cup this summer as well.
I think that's why the fan base is so split. Is that all our questions? We're hitting an hour, so I want to get these. I want to get these awards done. How do you feel those questions were?
I thought they were good. I felt like it was a nice way of. Well, not nice. It's never nice sort of going through the current situation at Watford, but it was nice as well. I feel like because of the nature of our questions, Charlie, we were able to look back at some positive moments as well, some nostalgia too. So, I hope everyone enjoyed that.
Yeah, sorry for everyone who has sent questions in. We're not going to have time, but Sam, give me your goal of the season, young player of the season, and player of the season.
Yep, goal of the season. I'm going to go with Nestor Kunda's free kick against Southampton.
You stole mine. Limbs.
That's how good of a goal it was.
Limbs in the rookery.
Unbelievable. If I had to go something different, very close call with Jeremy Ngakou's goal away at Bristol City as well. I was so happy for Jeremy as well, the fact that he scored it.
Do you not think, take everything out of context, Kunda Stoke away is probably the best goal?
Yeah.
I know we were 2-0 down.
100%. Yeah, context very, very key there, I think, as well. Don't think... Yeah, if we turned that game around, that probably would have been right up there. But yeah, and then my player of the season.
Quickly, the only other
player of the season first or player of the season?
Sorry, just quickly on the goal of the season. Then one thing that downgrades Ngakou is, did that strike injure him for the next rest of the season? Do you know what I mean? He's injured after that. But sorry, Sam, go young player first.
Yeah. Who's your young player of the season, Charlie? I'll let you go first this time in case I steal yours.
My young player is Othman Marma. I think he's been one of the biggest positives from this season, from a player who we got for 200k or something, and we were talking about loaning out. I think it was Pesolano said, "Now this guy's good enough," and he is.
Yeah.
I praised him earlier in this video about his mentality. He scored some. That Leicester goal was great. I think he's been outstanding, fearless, exciting to watch. And I think there was a report in France this week that apparently Watford are going to offer him a new contract. Do you imagine his wages are pretty low? So he's one player who I would love to stay next season. If we got a full season for him, I think we could sell him now for like 10 to 15 million. If we got a full season, it's going to be hard to perform at Watford, but I honestly think we could double our money on him. You're a young player?
I'm going to go with Max Alleyne. Absolutely loved him with his time for us. And I think, I know it hasn't gone as swimmingly in the second half of the season at Man City for him, but yeah, I think his performances were so impressive in the first half of the season. And I think one of the reasons why we've haven't been anywhere near as good in the second half of the season is his absence at the back. So I've gone with Max Alleyne.
Honourable mention to Stephen Fooney as well. Max Alleyne could be a treble winner at the end of the season.
Could be a treble winner. And you've just given away my player of the season, Charlie. Stefan Mafuni. Don't really want to give it to any of the current players. So I love Mafuni. I think his peak was absolutely fantastic. So I think maybe I won't give it to him, but definitely an honourable mention. I feel like Loser obviously had such a good peak. I think Ngakou has been really improved this season. Bowler's been really, really good. But Othman Marma is my player of the season for the same reasons that you said, Charlie. Yeah, I've loved watching him play, and I hope we keep him next season.
I thought you were giving it to Fooney. Seriously, fair play. Second place. I'm giving player of the season to Mark Bowler. For a player who we got, I think he was a free. Everyone thought he was going to be a backup left back. And I think he has been our most consistent player, giving 7 out of 10, maybe every single game he's played. He's got 2 goals, 3 assists. I feel like he should have had more than that. I feel like there's been a couple of big chances missed. I feel like he's been someone that has given his all every time he's played. I think it shows when he's gone out of the team that we've dropped off massively.
Yeah.
And he's a 28-year-old, and I'm hoping that he's someone that can kind of grow into a bit of a, now he kind of knows what the club's about, but he's someone that hopefully could kind of be a bit of a leader and hopefully try and make us improve. Really, I've enjoyed watching him. I think he's been solid, even at Stoke away when he was kind of arguing with fans. I don't mind that too much. It shows that he cares.
Yeah.
So I'm giving it to Mark Bowler.
Love it. Lovely shout.
Shall we wrap up there, Sam? It's been an emotional. I feel like we need another couple of days to unwind. But before we go, and I'm going to put a link to the description, I just want to wish you the best of luck for the London Marathon on Sunday.
Thank you.
So if anyone hasn't donated to Sam, he's been training for it hard. He's been ignoring me and Jacob to go out and run instead of coming for a drink or going for meals. The dedication. What's the charity you're raising money for, Sam?
Oh, thank you, Charlie. It's a charity called GIFT, which stands for Give It Forward Today. It's a charity in North London who help Jewish families who unfortunately can't afford essential items, your basic foods, drinks, and that sort of thing to run a home. And then also a certain percentage of the money is going to be going towards paying for things like Sunday league fees and football kits as well for children who can't afford them as well, because we all know not every club is like Calme where you get unbelievable 70% off offers at the end of the season, and some kits are really, really expensive. So hopefully be able to make a difference and get some kits ahead of the summer for some children as well.
Fair play, mate. Was it 26 miles?
26 miles. Yeah.
Are you just going to listen back to WD18 episodes to get you through it?
Do you know what, actually, what I do on my long runs, because particularly as well when you're training, and I'm a big podcast listener when I run, I like to listen to old From the Rookery End, like the vintage ones from back in the day, because they've been going for how many years now? 15, 16 years from the Rookery End. And I listened to one recently. You can actually go back, and it's amazing listening back now to the mood now versus when things were good, and listening back to a podcast when Bassini sold the club to Pozzo, and they had an Italian journalist on there talking about what the Pozzos are going to be like. That was back in 2012. There's the podcast from that Dini goal, the playoff final day, the FA Cup final day. It's really, really good fun. So I definitely suggest looking back on the in the From the Rookery End archive as well.
Good stuff. Yeah, good luck for it, mate. And
Thanks,
another reminder about the Men 12 World Cup. For anyone that wants to come along, you've seen the stellar lineup we've got of players coming down. You can buy tickets in the link in the description. We've got auction prizes that are going to be going up next week. It should be another amazing day, Saturday, the 9th of May, the week after the Coventry game. So make sure to get involved, come down to the Vic for some positive vibes. And Sam, we are going to be back for one last time this season after the Coventry game on the Sunday, the 3rd, where we're going to do the video that we like to do the most, look back at our predictions. So we'll see who came out on top, who had the best one.
I've had some stinkers this year. Oh my word.
Yeah, you've got a funny one that I already know, which I can't wait to look back on. But thanks everyone for listening. Thanks for everyone to get involved in the comments. We know it's tough out there. Anyone who's traveling to Borough on Saturday, fair play. Proper support. And yeah, we're going to be about. Well, I'm going to be about for the Coventry game. So come to the Mad Squirrel afterwards to chat, to say hello. And yeah, we'll be back for the 3rd to look back at our predictions. Chin up, everyone. And we'll be back soon. And up the Hornets. Come on, you Golden Boys.